All right, hello everyone. Good morning and welcome to the mega event for National Science Day Case Challenge 2022 by CurioEd. Let me quickly share my screen and get started. Good morning and welcome to the mega event for National Science Day. All right, let's start off with a little bit of background on what this event was all about. So all of our entries, all of the people who participated were divided into two categories. One was the junior category, which was for grades 3, 4, and 5. And one was the senior category for grades 6, 7, and 8. Within these categories, we had a total of 4 case studies which were given, 2 to the juniors and 2 to seniors. What we expected them to do was to pick one of these cases and provide us with a solution to this global issue. And of course, we have exciting prizes worth 3L for our winners. The top entry in each category gets an iPad. The second and third position, which are the runner-ups, get a Amazon Kindle each. And the top 10, which is top 5 in each category, also get STEM.org certificates, scholarships, and a bunch of goodies from CurioEd. Our event lasted for over approximately 7 weeks. We started registrations back in February. We've had a total of more than 8,000 students across the country and even some from overseas who have registered for this competition. And we have finally now shortlisted our top 10 presenters who are going to be presenting their presentations for everybody today. And from these top 10, of course, we'll be picking our winners. So before we go on further, let me introduce everybody to our chief guest for today, which is Sri Rajnaran Kaushik. He's an IAS officer. He's currently the Director and Special Secretary. He works with the government of Haryana. So I'm going to just pass the mic on to you, sir, so you can talk to the students a little bit.
Thanks, Saranya. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so this is a program that CurioEd is organizing on National Science Day. National Science Day was last month on the 20th Feb. But since they were organizing competition and there was demand from the parent side and from the children that more time should be given for working on the problem set that they had given. So that's why this program is being organized today. Like science, we can say there are two kinds of sciences. One is basic science and another is applied science. To give a very simple example, suppose you are counting there is a concept called counting. You can count 1, 2, 3 up to any number. And then there is counting some object. So counting is the basic science and counting object is the applied science. Applied science can also be termed as technology. To introduce science, we have basic science, we have to take the path of the applied science. Like for a kid, say a 3-4-year-old child, whom we want to teach counting up to 10, we cannot simply say 1, 2, 3. That will not serve the purpose. We will have to show him or her some other object, like maybe one apple, and say this is one apple, then 2 apples, then this is 2 apples. So that's how a child learns the concept of counting, which is basic science. So here also, this is a National Science Day, and when we say National Science Day, it is primarily and mainly linked with the basic sciences. But we cannot introduce basic science without using applied sciences. So the problem sets, I thank CurioEd and I congratulate them on this brilliant idea of introducing basic sciences through the concept of applied sciences by giving some problem set, that is application part. So I request all the candidates, all the students who are connected here or who are otherwise watching YouTube on the live stream, that they should look at the problems around them. They should see what are the various problems being faced by anyone. What are the problems of the day, like climate change or problems with the oceans, and then try to seek out a solution. Over a period of time, you will be trained and you will be able to appreciate the basic sciences part of it, that you will realize that, okay, these are the immediate problems and we are using technology and the applied sciences to solve this problem. But over a period of time, you will switch over to basic sciences, which doesn't solve any immediate problem. You just do that for the sake of its own fun or for the sake of its own thrill. So I request all of you on this National Science Day that please work on as many of the practical problems that you encounter in your lives, and at the same time, then you will automatically switch over to those issues that thrill, that a very interesting idea where you don't solve any problem, but you just extend the frontier of the knowledge that lies with the humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, I would like to now move on to our next part. And before we start with our presentations, we wanted to take a few minutes and introduce everybody to what CurioEd is, what CurioEd does, why we decided to do a competition like this. And to do that, we have one of our co-founders here who's going to talk to all of you about it, Mr. Himanshu Arora. So I'm just going to pass it over to him.
Thanks a lot, Sharanya. Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to hear you say such an important message about applied sciences. I think science not applied is just theory, and theory doesn't last, right? So it has to be applied to be able to last. And just recounting one of the core philosophies that we have at CurioEd is that everything that we see around us was built by human beings, right? Like we live in large, nice, comfortable homes. We travel in fast cars. Now we're able to fly in the air. A 50,000 kilogram piece of metal is able to fly us across the ocean. So all of this has been built when we applied science on real world problems and we wanted to make the world a better place. Thank you so much for that message. Hi, everybody. Very happy to be speaking to all the kids today. Let me introduce CurioEd. We also teach science, but in a fun way. That's the motto of the company. When we started building CurioEd, we asked ourselves this very important question, that how do we learn best? Do we learn best through lectures, or do we learn best through applying in a lab? And we asked this question to a lot of adults, and all the adults told us that we learn best through lab. But unfortunately, we just end up pushing lectures to our children. So we felt that this is a problem worth solving. It's important to give exposure to all the children here, and of course outside here as well, to be able to apply sciences in lab and build projects, do activities, and learn science through them. A lot more fun way of learning science, a lot more interactive way of learning science. That is what ends up happening with this. Let me take a moment and show you a quick video. When I say learn science through projects and experiments, what do we actually mean by it? So just give me a second. I'll full screen myself. Okay, so full screen is unavailable, so we'll have to make do with this. So that's us in a nutshell. And the idea behind CurioEd, as I said, is very straightforward. And we can learn through, like, if we pick anything in life, right? Like if I were to learn how to swim, if I decide to learn swimming by just watching videos of other people swimming or by reading a book about how to swim, I won't go very far. That won't be a good strategy. So to learn swimming, I have to go jump in a pool, figure out for myself. We feel that's the same way science also has to be learned, that you have to figure it out for yourself by actually doing projects and experiments. That is what we make happen at CurioEd in each of our class. So what we do is every month we send you a science kit at home. Science kit has a lot of fascinating parts, a lot of different parts. And you use this kit to do projects and experiments in live online classes. The teachers are there to guide you. They are more like your coach and mentor, not there to put you on a spot and ask difficult questions, but there to guide you in a journey of learning science. So with science kits and online classes, we are able to teach science well. More than 1,000 kids are learning with us at this point in time, and they're having a lot of fun learning science. And not just these, there are a lot of activities, a lot of mind-blowing projects that happen in each class. So in each class, there is some activity that happens by design. Usually in a school, if you notice that there are 5 sessions of theory and then 1 session of lab in a week, but at CurioEd, every session is theory and lab combined. That's what our approach is. So if you feel excited to know more about CurioEd, you of course should subscribe to this to our channel while watching this live stream, and you can also go to curioed.com. Yeah, so that's us. But now coming back to the competition, so Sharanya, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Manju. I'm hoping everybody's super excited about this. We're finally coming to the main attraction of this event, which is the presentations by our top 10. We're going to be starting with the junior category. Before we start, let me quickly just reiterate what the criteria of judgment for this looks like. So as most of you are aware that when you were working on your presentations, we had given you a criteria of judgment with 4 main points for you to keep in mind while making your presentation. One is creativity. So how out of the box were you able to think while creating the presentation, while thinking of a solution to the problem statement that you had picked. Second is technical feasibility, like the solution that you presented, is it even practically possible to implement it, or is it something straight out of a science fiction novel? Third was economic viability. What that basically means is, can I create the solution using the existing resources that I have, using the existing technology I have, or will we have to, say, spend a lot of money or get a lot of resources to even make this happen? And finally, articulation. How well were you able to put all of your thinking on paper, or to be more precise, on Google Slides? So these were the 4 things we looked at, based on which we have shortlisted our top 10 who are going to be presenting. Now, as you present, again, there are a few things for you to keep in mind. First and foremost is, of course, your articulation. How well are you able to present your submission in a verbal manner? Second would be the time adherence. As already told, you will have a 3-minute time limit to present your solution to everybody present here and watching us on YouTube. So you have to ensure that your presentation ends within 3 minutes. Third is clarity of thought. Again, as shared earlier, you will be asked a question based on your presentation right after you finish presenting. So how well thought out is your answer? How detailed is it? You will also be marked on that. And of course, finally, 10% of the weightage of all the marks goes to audience votes. So if you have your friends, your family who are watching the live stream right now, you have to vote for the student who you think should win. And the voting is extremely simple. All you have to do is you have to type in their full name in the chat and comment it on YouTube. That's how we count votes. And we will be counting individual votes and not impressions. So if one person is voting 5 times, that will still count as only one vote. Okay. That's all about the rules and the judging criteria. We will first be starting with the junior category, which is grades 3 to 5. Grades 3 to 5 had 2 cases from which they had to pick. Case 1 was reducing plastic waste, which of course is aligned to SDG about clean water and sanitation. And case 2 was about making Mumbai green. So all the top 5 entries that we have picked either one of these cases, which they'll now be presenting. With that, I would like to invite our first presenter for today from the junior category to present their solution. The name of the participant is, so it's Mohammad Burhanuddin Kanorewala from, and the topic that they have picked is making Mumbai green. All right, I'm passing it to you.
Very good morning to all the respected members present. I am Mohammad Kanorewala from class 3. I study in MSB Educational Institute, Pune. I love Mumbai as it's full of life. I wish it could be more green. I have thought of a few ideas to do the same. These are some ideas to make Mumbai green. Let's further look at it in detail. Terrace gardens. Terrace gardens and vertical gardens are very nice because Mumbai has less space. Conclusion. Minimizing excessive heat, adding more oxygen, minimizing plastic waste, and trying to make zero carbon footprint. Edible cutlery. Edible cutlery is cost effective. It is as cheap as disposable plastic cutlery. We will save a lot of disposable cutlery every day. Toothpaste pills. Every year, millions of empty toothpaste tubes are disposed of. It is meant to be stored in a reusable container. The toothpaste pills will save a lot of empty tubes every day. Emission levels in limit for items. Industries can be given points depending on the item and upon the emission levels, which can be used as tax waivers. Coloring buildings white. The white color reflects more sunlight, and it will result in no extra heat. Fuel alternatives. Electricity. We should have many widespread electric charge stations in Mumbai. To make electricity cheaper, we'll have to make a lot of wind farms offshore because winds are more powerful there. Install solar panels on every building, every house, and every shop. Conclusion. Aim to get renewable zero-emission fuel that can be made of compost. Mumbai will be smoke-free. Transportation alternatives. Catapulting vehicle. This is a vehicle that is catapulted by a robotic arm and can reach 300 miles per hour. The boat that propels with water. This boat is made of recycled wood, old furniture, and carbon alloys. Futuristic train towers. This is a bullet-looking train that levitates and travels through a tunnel. On the way, there are many hook-like things. But they are magnets. The train propels by repelling and attracting the magnets. Conclusion. The aim is to have vehicles that have great speed and little to no emissions. This will increase the air quality, and from that, the plants would not die. There would also be no thick layers of smoke that block the sunlight, and plants would get sunlight all the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mohammed. Moving on to your question, Mohammed. My question to you is that in slide number 6, to be precise, you talk about catapulting vehicle. So my question is, how will you establish these alternatives in the real life? How will you set them up?
Ma'am, we make boats like we can even make boats on like building because they are very small and very catapulted on that from building to building. we can reach anywhere.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much. Moving on to our second contestant in the junior category, who's going to present is Raghav Jolly, and the topic that they've picked is reducing plastic waste. So over to you, Raghav.
Listen to what I say, or there's a big price to pay. A delightful morning to everyone. I, Raghav, will be sharing with you a video about the weapons to destroy the cheap yet disastrous menace, plastic. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. It's affecting us and damaging our ecosystem, and we are unable to stop it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd rather bring your kind attention towards the ever-increasing monster, plastic. This goes back to the time when, for one of my school projects, I tried to segregate waste into biodegradable and non-biodegradable categories. To my shock, leaving aside the peels of fruits and vegetables and a few other eatables, everything else was in plastic. Toothpaste, body wash, cosmetics, groceries, and what's not. Let's figure out some viable alternative of plastic. Avoid using plastic cutlery and straws. Switch to the steel ones. Replace plastic containers by steel or glass ones. Substitute plastic toothbrush by a bamboo one. Carry your own grocery cloth bags and try to buy in bulk. While traveling, carry your own water bottles. Ditch the plastic ones. Switch over to wooden goals. They're certainly beneficial for your hair health. Squeeze out fresh fruit juice. Get rid of the packaged ones. For a snack, grab a fruit or bunch nuts and ditch the packaged junk. Opt for popsicles and crunchy cones instead of cupped ice cream. Use organic and eco-friendly body care kits. Swap synthetic sponge. Use compostable wooden brush for dishes. Repair things instead of trashing them at the first sign of trouble. Let us all join hands and save our planet from the plastic trash. Remember, each step counts. Together, we should stand strong. Don't be selfish and don't do any wrong. Let us all behave like responsible caretakers and become eco-friendly makers. Remember, we do not have another planet to go to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raghav, for that beautiful, beautiful video. Coming on to your question, Raghav, the question I have for you is, in your video, you mentioned a lot of eco-friendly alternatives. Okay? My question is that why do you think, because all of these alternatives are already there in the market, so why do you think people are not buying them? And what do you think you can do to ensure that people start buying these alternatives instead of plastic?
As plastics, people buy plastics as they have lots of qualities, like they are flexible, cheap, durable, water resistant, etc. but they don't understand that what is plastic, how is plastic harming the environment. So I believe that we all should understand the importance of it and use these alternatives in our lives as well.
All right, thank you, Raghav. Moving on to our next entry, which is by Advait Hardwaj. The topic that they have picked is reducing plastic waste. So over to you, Advait.
Hello everyone, my name is Advait. Today, apart from presenting my idea, I want to share how this thought came about. One day, I was thinking, why do people throw plastic into landfills when they could throw it into recycle bins? I realized that first of all, there is not enough accessible recycle bins to throw them in, and they do not get any reward for doing the right thing. Here are some stories that inspired me. For my solution, I created Amy the turtle. This is my mascot. Eco All-Rounder is my solution. It is the machine that can be installed in shopping malls, apartments, parks, and so on. An app is also part of this solution. First of all, we can deposit plastic into the Eco All-Rounder. Then it will be deposited into the Eco All-Rounder for points on the mobile application. These points can be used for buying merchandise and unlocking bags. There is also reusable bag dispenser. We will be able to check out reusable bags, so using the points on the phone. There is also a clean water dispenser. This avoids the usage of single-use plastic bottles. The machine will have a display playing videos of Amy the turtle explaining harmful effects of plastic waste on the environment. The machine will also be capable to do having an AI based interaction with users suggesting merchandise. This merchandise will help us to advertise the Eco All-Rounder. The mobile application will have features such as locating the nearest Eco All-Rounder, tracking points, scanning bills from eco-friendly stores for points, and few games to play to inculcate the habit of plastic waste reduction. The monitoring and maintenance of the Eco All-Rounder will be done by a cloud-based operations. The Eco All-Rounder will partner with firms such as Scrap Monster and Power Plastic Recycling that will use the plastic collected for different uses. This revenue will be used for the maintenance of the Eco All-Rounders. All of us must come together and everyone must understand that every drop matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Advait. That was a really impressive presentation, and I have to say I love the mascot. Extremely cute. All right. My question for you, Advait, is that specifically in slide number 9, you mentioned that there'll be an AI, you'll give out merchandise and advertise Eco All-Rounder. You specifically mentioned in your presentation that it will help connect with the users emotionally. So my question is, why do you think it's important to connect to the users on an emotional level?
if the user is connected emotionally, then it will, then they will buy it, it will use it, they will use it. Otherwise they will not think that they should use it. They will just think that it does not help them to do, it does not help them to do anything. But the merchandise, if they get the merchandise, it will be like advertising. When a person sees the another person wearing like a t-shirt, then they will also and use the eco all-rounder to get the merchandise.
All right, thank you so much, Advait. Moving on to our next submission. Next in line is Shashank. Shashank, I believe, was experiencing some technical difficulties. Are you there, Shashank? All right. I believe Shashank is currently not present. We can for now move on to the next submission, which is by Adarsh Hari. And the topic that they picked was also reducing plastic waste. So over to you, Adarsh.
Mute. Let me just share my screen. Good morning, everybody. My name is Adarsh Ravi. Today, I'm going to be presenting Hope for the Oceans. Hope for the Oceans is a boat and submarine to help solve the problem of polluted water bodies. How and why? It's efficient. It works nonstop because there's no need for fuel refills. It can clean a big-sized water body like Lake Erie in just about a few weeks. It is made of fully recycled materials like scrap metal and plastic. It does not add to the existing pollution as it has zero emissions. Why is Hope for Oceans better than what's already out there? We are grateful for all of the current products out there and their attempts to help our planet, but they don't purify the water, they don't clean and compress the trash, they don't disinfect the water, they're not solar powered and have to be pushed by a boat. They have to drag bins of trash with them. People have to walk on these boats with close contact with toxic waste. So how is my prototype of Hope for Oceans better? So these are a few features of Hope for Oceans. The sonar sensors, a control panel, 4K waterproof camera, dryers and washing machines, solar panels, battery backup that lasts 1 month, and the titanium cover to protect from any leaching from happening. There's multiple filters, UV lights, solar power motors, LED ball lights, storage compartment, load sensors. So when the storage compartment gets full, it will contact the tube collector here. So this is the drawing of it. So these are the solar panels here. These are the batteries, and this is the 4K camera, LED ball light, and sonar. So it first goes through a large mouth. The plastic and trash first go through a large mouth. They go on a conveyor belt. So it gets blown and goes through a filtration system, as you can see here. 1 filter, 2 filters, and then UV light. And so we can see what the trash does. It goes to a washing machine that will remove dirt and grime. After it's done being washed, the water is dirty, so it goes back into the water filtration system. It gets dried and gets compressed into cubes, small cubes. Here is a pressure plate. The pressure plate, when it will notify the control panel when it gets too heavy. Then it will send a message to the cube collector to empty it out. These are 2 electric motors. These will use the water to push the boat forward. Thank you for listening to my presentation today.
Thank you so much, Adarsh. So my question to you, Adarsh, is that you talk your machine that you've created, which is Hope for Oceans. As you mentioned, it's not going to be dragged around by boats. It's going to be in the water. So my question is, who, first of all, is responsible for, say, creating or putting these machines out there? And how are they going to manage, or how are they going to manage the upkeep of these once they have been set up?
So once they don't need any charger because they're solar powered, and they don't need to go to the dock and undock the trash. The cube collector will take the cubes out. So what was the other thing you were asking?
The other part of the question was, who is responsible for, say, which organization? Is it the government? Is there a company? Who is it that's responsible for setting up these machines and looking after them?
It is a non-profit organization called Hope for the Oceans.
All right. Thank you, Adarsh. Moving on to our next submission for. All right. I believe our fifth submission for junior category is not currently available. Shashank, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm back. Even though my internet is still bad and there's still some freezes.
All right. So since Shashank is in an area with not so great internet, what we'll do is we'll play his presentation that he had very graciously pre-recorded for us, for everybody.
You were saying something, you just froze. So can you say it again?
Sharanya, I think you'll need to share sound as well.
Hello, my name is Shashank. Today I'm going to be talking about Mumbai reforestation. So as you can see, Mumbai has been going low on trees due to reasons like urbanization, reclaiming land from sea, cutting trees, loss of mangroves, etc. Now, some ways to make Mumbai more green are planting mangrove trees on the coastline, and a solution that you call reforestation, which is basically planting plants, aka trees. So now, you know that we find helicopters extremely frequently in Mumbai, right? Well, good news, we're going to be exploiting helicopters to drop seeds from the sky from the helicopter. Now, the procedure is forest officials will travel in a helicopter with seeds of plants which will normally grow in the area, preferably trees which have a long life. Forest officials will disperse the seeds from the helicopters. Wind and water will aid the seed dispersal. Cover areas such as mangrove areas, other areas where forests are diminishing, identified using remote sensing satellites. We should go monsoon season or just after monsoon season. The type of helicopter for the job is the fire extinguishing one, even though we can still drop seeds manually from normal helicopters, it's slower. The helicopter should grow seeds at places that have the moist soil for trees to grow in. There should be one helicopter dedicated for each zone of the seed. Now, some challenges are wind may blow away the seed, not enough helicopter, specific seed dropping helicopter may not be available, specific seeds may not be available, heavy rain in Mumbai may prevent helicopter from flying, and the seeds may just flow away with the water. etc. The conclusion: by 2030, mangroves should flourish again, creating its own marine and terrestrial ecosystem, decrease in air pollution, prevention of soil erosion, prevention of flash floods due to rise in sea level. Satellite imaging can be used to monitor progress. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching this.
All right. Shashank, are you there? Just give me a holler if you're there. I think he's dropped off. All right. I believe Shashank is facing some technical difficulties, and so he's not here to answer his question. With that, we wrap up all of the entries for the junior category. We're now going to be moving into the senior category. So I can see all the people from the senior category have started turning their videos back on. All right. So just to quickly show you what the case studies for senior category were. Right. So the senior category, which was for grades 6 to 8, had 2 cases. The first one being improve the air quality in Delhi. Seems like an almost impossible task, but our students decided to take it head on. And the second is to generate energy through renewable resources. So those were the 2 cases which were given to the senior category, and that's what they've decided to solve today. So the first entry that we have, the first presenter from the senior category for today is going to be Avian Ghosh. They have picked the topic, improve the quality of air in Delhi. So over to you, Devi.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, good morning. I am Avian Ghosh, and I am going to suggest some ways of reducing air pollution in Delhi. So first of all, air pollution causes health problems like respiratory diseases, ozone layer depletion, global warming, suffocation, etc. You can see the problems here. Now, Delhi had an average AQI of 556 in 2021, which is very harmful and shows that the air is very harmful. Emissions of vehicles, industries, thermal power plants, stubble burning, etc. pollutes the air of Delhi. You can see the causes here. In other places, carbon tax is levied. Using electric vehicles is insisted. You can see the advantages and disadvantages of those. Now, the greatest challenge is to make people aware about air pollution and make them understand the impact of air pollution. Now, let's see my suggested solutions. To treat vehicular emissions, solar panels should be there to supplement the electric vehicles' power. So people can use those vehicles where charging facility is not available. People who can't afford electric vehicles should use CNG to run their vehicles. Cycling should be insisted, and also we can save a lot of money as importation of petrol will be reduced. To treat emissions of thermal power plants and industries, government should make sure that the number of solar panels and the number of people in a residential building is equal. Commercial buildings should fulfill their need of electricity from sustainable energy sources, and gradually the thermal power plants should be replaced with solar or hydropower plants with employment of more people. Government should ask to mix the stubble with soil instead of burning, as it increases the fertility of soil. Number of trees should at least be equal to the number of people in a society. Construction work should be banned in winter. People should use electrical utensils or biogas for cooking. They may use LPGs also. People should avoid flights and travel by train. Now, the problems that my solution may face are that there may be a lack of electricity. And the solution is that buildings should be made in such a way that enough sunlight and air can come inside the rooms, reducing electricity usage in the morning. Cycles should be used for both work and fitness. The money saved from importation of petrol should be used in making more solar and hydropower plants with employment of large number of people. Another problem is that many people may get unemployed, and solution is that those people can be used in employed in air pollution reducing works. Now we could conclude that a together initiative of both people and government can bring down the AQI of Delhi under 100 by 2030. Let's together make a clean and pollution-free Delhi. Thank you. Any question, please, for me?
All right, thank you, Avian. The question that I have for you, Avian, is you mentioned in your presentation, specifically on slide number 6, that we need to increase, say, the green cover or the number of plants or trees in Delhi. Now, Delhi already has one of the highest green covers in metro cities in India, about 23%. And we also know that there's a lot of infrastructure because so much population, so much industry there. So, what is your suggestion on where exactly and how do we plant these more trees that we need to combat air pollution?
No, ma'am, population of Delhi is every year increasing. So if we take a step that in a society, the number of trees should at least be equal to the number of people living, then we can easily manage with the population increasing. If population will increase, then the number of trees will also need to increase so that we can make Delhi more green. Because population is each year increasing, so we need to plant more trees. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Avian. Moving on to our next participant in the senior category, which is Avishka V4. The topic that they've picked is improve the quality of air in Delhi. Over to you, Avishka.
Yes. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Avishka Bhor, and I'm presenting on improving the quality of air in Delhi. Sustainability means ensuring continued prosperity without compromising the needs of the future generations. Development of a sustainable world requires overcoming one of the biggest challenges of our times, that is climate change. Air pollution is a major cause of climate change. Today, I will be presenting a few solutions to improve the quality of air in Delhi with the aim of contributing to SDG 11. The first challenge in Delhi is vehicular and industrial emissions. Delhi has millions of motor vehicles which contribute significantly to the air pollution. So this can be overcome by switching to electrical vehicles, monitoring the implementation of emission norms, and switching to practices such as carpooling, cycling, and walking over shorter distances. Industrial emissions are also prevalent as Delhi has lots of industrial units that contribute significantly to the pollution, and this can be overcome by using technologies such as the wet scrubber, which remove both gases as well as particulate materials. Another challenge in Delhi is geography, as Delhi is similar to a bowl that collects pollutants coming from coasts with only a narrow outlet for it to escape. So for this, we need to set up wind-powered devices that are similar to wind turbines, which can simultaneously absorb and break down air pollutants in the peripheral regions of Delhi. These devices will also help to provide energy vital for various activities. The third challenge in Delhi is farming practices such as stubble burning, which are done during winter, and hence the pollutants remain trapped in the air. So we need to switch to an environmental friendly alternative such as the Pusa biodecomposer, which is a low-cost microbial bioenzyme solution which converts crop residue into manure within 15 to 20 days. So my overall plan to tackle air pollution in Delhi is that a sincere effort should be made to switch to eco-friendly practices such as using electrical vehicles, wet scrubbers, wind-powered devices that produce energy as well as clean pollutants, and also use the Pusa biodecomposer to combat the different challenges in Delhi. The implementation of these cost-effective solutions will successfully will result in this in bringing down the AQI of Delhi to less than 100, and this will also contribute to the attainment of SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avishka. My question for you, Avishka, is that in your presentation, you specifically mention the use of wet scrubbers in industries or factories. And you also mentioned that they're quite expensive, right? They're about 1.5 lakh each. So where do you see the government or the industry getting the funding to buy and also maintain these wet scrubbers once they're bought?
So, first of all, I feel that since these are expensive, so the government has to provide certain funds to companies, because this is the need of the hour. We need such technologies to help us to create a sustainable world, and government needs to provide some kind of funds at the same time, for especially for the startups. And at the same time, I believe that this is similar to a one-time investment. Once or companies need not buy this constantly. They need to buy this once, and also there needs to be a proper. They need to have a proper way to maintain it, as in they need to make sure that the residue that is coming out, it needs to be handled properly. To ensure that the entire process which is going to follow after the wet scrubber is installed in the company is well planned and executed in the right manner. Also, of course, they need some funds, and they need some funds from the government, as well as they need to plan and execute it in a very systematic manner to avoid any further pollution or damage to the environment than there already has been. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Avishka. Moving on to our next entry for the senior category, which is Karnav Rastogi, and the topic that they've picked is renewable energy. So over to you, Karnav.
I strongly believe in a quote by Lautes: a tree as big as you can reach starts with a small seed. 1,000-mile journey starts with a small step. Not one building, not two buildings, but the entire of Mumbai should implement solar panels. And then after, the entire of India should implement solar panels. This is the dream I pursue. Under renewable energy, I'll be speaking on solar energy. Good afternoon to all. This is my project planning, a macro view, which is bifurcated into 3 types, which I'll be speaking in modus operandi. Project plan. The project will be executed in Pratnesh complex, which has 17 buildings. The assessment will be taken through questionnaires on the basis of knowledge, aptitude, and practices about solar panels in your society. Volunteers. Recruitment of volunteers from each society and building would be done to ease the communication through WhatsApp groups. Analysis will be collecting common responses. Result and discussion. The final result will be presented. You may have a look at the timelines. Feedback and consolidation. Presentation on solar panel are complex by experts will be done. Budget finalization and allocation of funds, and monitoring the project implementation through the volunteer. We will then after identify the early adopters and pursue adoption to convince other people living in the same complex for the idea. Making such a model is always sustainable. Coming up to the project cost and budgeting, that is cost budgeting. Description. Total project cost will be about 15 lakhs. Total number of flats in one society is 65. Allocation of funds to the project would be 20% would be paid upfront, that is rupees 3 lakh, which will come about to 4,616 rupees per flat. 80% loan that is payable easily in 3 years. There would be an EMI which approximates per year per flat 7,000 rupees, which is about 600 rupees per month, which is nowadays a common 600 rupees for pizza. Now we come to the most important aspect, that is to scale the project and support to it. Scaling has to be done in a phased manner. Then we identify the same clusters of society in the Andheri suburb. Then we create champions of knowledge transfer. At the end, we need to create a document as a resource guide. We should also try to cover the challenges faced, if any, and try to overcome them. Before I end, I'd like to end with a quote. No dream is big if we have a clear plan to execute the same. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Karnav. Very well presented. My question for you, Karna, is that you mentioned that you're targeting specifically complexes, residential complexes or residential societies. And since we were talking specifically about Mumbai, in Mumbai, more than half of the population does not live in residential societies. They mostly live in these chawls, which are sort of an unofficial congregation. So my question is that what is your plan to expand to people which are living outside of these residential complexes? How are they getting renewable energy?
Ma'am, so we can, yes, ma'am. So if we can see, the solar panels can be put next to their houses, and with provided proper electricity supply, we can also put it in next to their houses in the chawls, or we can connect it as a common area which is between the streets where we put the hoardings. Basically, we can replace those with solar panels, and the solar panels can store the light and provide proper things.
All right, thank you, Karna. Moving on to our next submission for the senior category, which is Rishit Soneja, and the topic that they've picked is renewable energy. Over to you, Rishit.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rishit Suneja, and today I'll be presenting on renewable energy. So the problem I'm trying to solve is that of wind energy. It's been around for a long time, but it contributes to very little of overall electricity produced worldwide. Have you ever wondered why? Yes, the major reason is the high inconsistency of wind patterns. My solution for this is artificial wind. So this is how with my solution, with windmills arranged like this and solar panels on one side. So the process of creating artificial winds is that the solar panels will get sunlight and release heat. Hot air will be created over solar panels, so there will be a low pressure area. Air will blow from high pressure to low pressure. This will turn the windmills and create electricity. So as we know that along with generating electricity, solar panels also release lots of heat, which will create a low pressure area. And I have used this concept as the low pressure will. So one major benefit of my solution is that it can be easily incorporated into existing wind farms by placing solar panels on one side of the wind farm. And I also came across two possible drawbacks of this solution while creating it. That one, since it uses solar power, it won't work at night. So the solution to this is that the excess solar energy harnessed during the day can be stored as thermal energy during the night, which will create hot air and the rest of the process is same. So second is solar panels may get overheated. So some of the solar energy can be used to power fridges, which will keep the solar panels cool and at the same time not interfere with hot air. And other important points are the electricity. The electricity produced by the power plant will mainly be from the windmills, and the electricity produced by solar panels, which will be left over after thermal energy, and the fridges will also be a bonus. And the location of the power plant will be ideally in a desert, so that the solar panels get sunlight all day, most days of the year, and the power plant keeps running. Thank you. I hope you like my presentation.
Thank you, Rishit. Rishit, as you mentioned that since it's going to use solar power, it can't be used throughout the year. So what about areas where there's not sunlight throughout the year? You mentioned that you put it in a desert, right? Which would only be a certain very limited section of the country. So how do you see this solution scaling in areas where there's not sunlight throughout the year?
Ma'am, I said for the night solution, the thermal energy. So whenever the solar panels get enough sunlight, it can be stored as thermal energy. And when it's cloudy or rainy weather, then the thermal energy can be used.
All right, thank you, Rishit. Moving on to our next and final entry for today, which is Shabir Yusuf Poonawala, and the topic that they've picked is renewable energy. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Shabir Poonawala from class 6 and I study in MSB Educational Institute, Pune. I have a few ideas to generate renewable energy which will lessen the burden of fuel or non-renewable energy, and we will have a pollution-free place to live in. Printable solar panels. Size is not a constraint anymore now that printable solar panels are here. Solar inks are used on plastic rolls or steel rather than building silicon panels. It is an easy and inexpensive option. Applying solar cells to small electronic devices just got a whole lot easier. Algae. Algae can grow quickly and has higher heat content than corn or sugar. This property of algae can help us make different types of fuels. The algae life cycle. Algae is produced in open algae ponds by the help of solar energy and CO2. Algae oil is extracted and then it goes under a process called biodiesel production. At last, it reaches the petrol pumps where it is filled into tanks of cars and bikes. Body heat. Body heat absorbers are also called thermoelectric generators. Body heat can produce up to 290 to 3,800 joules per hour, which can be generated into 80 to 1,050 watts of power. Processing body heat to use it in e-watches and Bluetooth headphones would save a lot of power. Volcanic activity. Put around a few pipes in the volcanic area. When a volcano erupts, ash and lava oozes out. So the enlarged version of the heat absorber takes all the heat and changes it into energy. This idea can only work where there is an active volcano. Eels. It is applicable only for mini appliances like fans and ovens. One electric eel can produce up to 600 volts, but we can only harness 10 volts. Drop about 20 to 30 eels in a pool. Add wires and distribute the voltage equally between the wires. Add a DC motor with flippers and eels only put the shock when they are threatened. So these are some of the solutions that I have placed forward for generating renewable energy and for a greener future. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabir. My question for you is that in your presentation, specifically on slide 4, you mentioned producing biodiesel from algae. So how much time do you think it will take for us to have enough of that so that we can use it as a replacement of petrol?
Ma'am, I think that depends on the ability of the machines. So if the machines work fast, it will produce the algae faster, and if the machine is like slow, it will take a lot of time to produce it.
All right, thank you so much. With that, we now bring our presentation rounds to an end. So while our team deliberates on who the final winners are going to be, there are a few entries which could not make it to the top 5 for either category. However, we saw that they were either extremely creative or they just had really interesting ideas, or they were presented really well. And that's why we wanted to give a few special mentions to these people. So as for the, sorry about that. As for the junior category, first person that we would like to give a shout out to is Kuhu Kache from Lucknow. She's in grade 3. One of the youngest participants we had for our competition since she just went into grade 3. She wrote a beautiful, really long poem about why it's important for us to stop using plastic and switch to better alternatives. The second shout out goes to S. Thiyakshwa from Chennai, who's in grade 5. They've created a beautiful poster, as you can see on the slide, extremely detailed. And if you look closely, you'll realize that every section is talking about a different issue. So I think it's also very well put together, very beautifully presented. And finally, third one to Sanat Pandit, who's in grade 3 from Pune. Very well researched. I couldn't put the whole PPT here, but their idea was extremely well researched and backed by data and evidences. Moving on to the senior category, again, 3 people in the senior category who did a really good job of making their presentations. However, they could not make it to the top 5. First is IS Balkis from Tamil Nadu, who is in grade 8. The second person is Chintan Bhatt, grade 6, Bengaluru. And finally, Siddhant Pandit from grade 8 in Pune. All of these people also presented really well researched and data-backed presentations on the case studies that we had given. However, they couldn't quite make it to the top 5. That's all for the special mentions as well. I believe the team has deliberated and decided who the winners are going to be. So let me actually quite build some excitement. And if everybody could unmute themselves, all of the students on the call, if they could unmute themselves. Some quick thoughts on how is everyone feeling? Are you excited, nervous?
Excited.
Definitely excited.
Exhilarated.
Excited.
All right, I can see a lot of excitement in the crowd. So we will first be announcing the winners for the junior category. I'll make my way from the 3rd position and go up. So the second runner-up in the junior category is Mohammad Kanoewala, who picked the topic making Mumbai green. Yay. All right, everybody, a round of applause. Thank you. Second position, the first runner-up goes to Adarsh Hari, who picked the topic reducing plastic waste. Great, congratulations, Adarsh. And finally, the first position is everyone ready? All right, the first position goes to Adwait.
Say thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to all the winners from the junior category. I can see the excitement on the faces of the winners. I can see all the other participants also who made it to the top 5. You did a really good job. Some fabulous presentations, really well presented. So thank you so much for participating. Moving on now to our senior category.
But I do have a doubt.
Did somebody say something? I couldn't.
I have a doubt.
Yes, Shashank.
So my doubt is what happens to the people who are below 3rd place? Will they get prizes too?
Thank you for asking that, Shashank. All our top 10 entries do get scholarships, goodies, and STEM.org certifications. All of those things will be sent out to you right after we announce the rest of the winner. So don't worry, nobody is going to go away empty-handed from here. All right, moving on to our senior category. I can see everyone's faces. Everyone's really on the edge of their seats waiting for the results. So the second runner-up for senior category is Shabir Yusuf Poonawala, who did their topic renewable energy. Second position goes to Avishka Bhor, who did the presentation on improving air quality in Delhi. Right. And finally, the much awaited first position in the senior category goes to right, it goes to Karnav Rastogi. All right, I can see everyone clapping like crazy. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for coming in and participating. We've had a wonderful time. And I'd like to again invite our chief guest, Mr. Rajnaran Kaushik, to again say a few words just to all of the winners which are here on the call. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sanya. It was all of these were very great presentations by all the children, all the students, and again, it's good that you have announced 3 positions. But for those who have not got the position, let me tell you, it's not something to be disheartened. Just keep on doing the best that you can do. We need to compete with ourselves and do the best than what we have been doing yesterday. Congratulations to all the winners and best wishes to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words, and congratulations all the winners once again. I think all the 10 presentations were really great. Very well done job.
Thank you, sir.
All right, with that, we wrap up our mega event for National Science Day Case Challenge 2022. Congratulations again to all the winners, and I hope you're waiting for your prizes, which will be delivered very soon. All right, thank you for tuning in, everyone, and have a nice Sunday.